Hey, there we go. It says we're going. Hey, everybody, this is RJ Batla.
And I'm Joshua C. Chad. And today we're talking about dragons. I don't know why I did
Dragons.
jazz hands, but dragons.
Because you should do jazz hands.
Oh, anyway, it's going to be
There's
fun.
no reason to not do jazz
I,
hands.
I know it's just kind of like, I don't know. I feel hyped up. I mean, this is one of our podcast episodes, and I always love these. And I've only had one since I've been back. And so this is number two. And so I'm excited because I only get one more and then I'm gone. So yeah, kind of
Yeah,
sad.
sad day. And let's be honest, you can't get much more epic than dragons or
No.
epic or fantasy or even sci-fi. They're bleeding over into sci-fi,
Oh
man.
no, they are. There's like I'm looking at these science fiction covers and they have these dragons outside of a spaceship and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I want to read it because that's just it's awesome.
It's got a dang dragon on it.
Yep. Yep.
Dragon cell.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be no, I guess I don't have a dragon series in the future. There's dragons in my future, but not dragon series specifically. Anyway, we'll get off into the first section if we're set and ready to rock and roll. Perfect.
Ready. Are you ready?
Okay, so fantasy, sci-fi, tech news of the week. This week I've got three items. First of all, I went and saw Incredible Twos.
You saw it? I didn't know you
Incredible
saw it.
2. It's good. I mean, the first was good. You can't, I mean, it was good, but the second one was like really good. Like I was laughing so hard. Just the whole scene with Jack and the raccoon. I was just cracking up the entire time. Like, and it kept going on. And I was just, oh, he was definitely the best character in this new one. But anyway, really good movie, family friendly, adult friendly. I mean, I'm kind of an adult. Okay, I'm not an adult at all. But anyway, adults will like it too.
Legally, yes.
Yes, legally, exactly. At heart, no way.
According to the USA, you are an adult.
Yeah. So that was good. Go watch that. The other one there's a lot of companies out there that do custom. They're called custom minifigs, which are basically they do custom Legos. I've actually looked at a company to do a custom Lego of my characters in my book with packaging and all, which would be awesome. But that's for the future because it was going to cost like $500 a character. So I didn't. But there's actually a machine now, and I looked at this article so long ago I can't remember. But at one of the Lego stores, that you can go into the store and there's a whole bunch of options, and you can actually make it's like a Lego custom minifigure vending machine where you get to choose these options. You can import your own images onto like their shirts and pants, and then you like click a button and they pop them out for you within a few minutes. And so it's like it's crazy. And there's only one in the one store right now, but I think they're going to go bigger. But it's just awesome. The whole custom Legos is mind boggling because that's what I grew up playing. And now it's like I ordered a pack and there's like this SAW submachine gun and this AR-15 and they're all custom and it's awesome. So that's cool. In other news for the third item, this is more personal news, but also like, hey, if you didn't know this was out there, you need to check it out. So I recently got this new tabletop game. It's not a board game. Well, it's kind of a board game, but it's called a tabletop, and it is called Zombicide Black Plague. And it is freaking awesome. So it only cost only $65, but it comes with these 6 heroes, and then you got these little figures, and then they have all these special abilities, and they level up, and you're fighting these zombies. And so these zombies go on the board. There's different types that do different damage. There's an abomination that just like totally wrecks your crap. There's a necromancer that summons other zombies. But it's fun because when I got this, I didn't realize there's all kinds of these tabletop games that have these little figurines, if you will, that you can play with. And I mean, you can play one player if you want to, because you're actually playing against the game itself. And so me and my wife play together, and we each choose 3 survivors, and we're playing together to defeat the zombies.
Oh.
And so it's crazy because they have certain rules, but the rules make it enough to where it's not like you can't predict you can predict somewhat, but then there's like you draw to spawn more zombies, but instead of spawning more zombies, it could activate other zombies, which means they get a free move. So now
Mm.
your whole plan of like, okay, these zombies can only move once per turn is thrown out the window. And then they come and they kill one of your characters and you start crying because you're just about to level her up and had this awesome plan. So it's really fun and I've actually gotten my wife playing and she really likes it. And we start like, it's kind of like it's a cross between kind of like in between like Dungeons and Dragons and like a normal board game to where you actually it's more involved than a normal board game and you can actually we get into the characters and we kind of play them out and role play with them. But anyway, it's really fun. We've been digging that lately. But
Nice.
yeah. So that's all I got for news is Zombicide. It's fun. There's a lot of those out there. But that's all for me.
Awesome. Well, mine comes from my standard source for anything news is the WTF Facebook channel, What the Future, not the other word. And it's actually, you've heard of smart cars, you've heard of smartphones, but have you ever heard of a smart road? But seriously, it's basically modular roads with a bunch of smart technology built into it that can increase the efficiency and the effectiveness of smart cars, smartphones. Kind of like an integrated roadway. Everything can talk to everything. Everybody knows it knows where everything is at all times. Because it's modular, you could actually take a section out, pop another one in if it gets damaged, and it's a lot faster repair than it is now. I mean, if anybody's been anywhere with road construction, I mean, God bless those guys out there, guys and gals out there doing that. It is hot and it is, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I've dug plenty of ditches. I've worked outside in the Texas in the summer, and it is. But anyway, if you could just pop it in, pop it out, it'd be a much better experience. And even could be used to have an 5G network. They could build it in there where the internet and wireless and everything runs through this roadway. I just thought that was the craziest thing
Huh.
to have that much integration. I mean, to me, that would be a way to make smart cars actually work more so
Yeah.
than have
Yeah.
them. I mean, they're going to have all the sensors around them to sense the cars and talk to the cars and everything. But if they can talk to each other through the road and the roads talking to each other, talking to each car, it seems like a lot more feasible than uh, with just a smart car. Now, the cost, no idea. Got to be insane.
Probably.
Gotta
Yeah,
be-
exactly.
yeah, I mean, there's just no way it's cheap. But at the same time, if it can reduce accidents and if we get to the point where it's feasible, it would be some cool technology to get out there.
Wow. That's just about like hover cars. Like it's right there.
Yeah, yeah. We could go bullseye some womp rats. Um, so that's mine. It was womp rats. It was a swamp rats. Now I'm confusing myself. Whatever it was that Luke used to bullseye.
I think, yeah, I don't even know.
Okay. Anyway, so that's our news of the week sections. We're going to move on to weapons of the week now. And my weapon, I'm going to go first, apparently, per the outline, is the
I think so.
is the M2 machine gun or the Browning 50 caliber heavy machine gun, which is if you've ever seen any kind of war movie or any kind of action movie, if they're shooting a big belt-fed weapon, it is probably the M2 or the Ma Deuce, which I love the name of that.
Yep.
And I know most soldiers that I've talked to or military personnel say it's one of the most fun weapons to shoot. I have some pictures, but I also have my Word document for my facts, so I can't show them yet, but we'll show them before it's in. It was actually designed. Used in World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Falklands, Soviet. I mean, anything after World War II, this gun was used in it. It's has been used longer than any other firearm in the U.S. except the 45 ACP, the 1911 pistol that you I think showed off at one point.
Yeah, I can go get one.
We can go get it right now. But it's I mean, it's used as everything from anti-personnel. It can be used as what's the vehicles? Whatever the military term for that. Anti-aircraft. It can be full automatic or selected to fire single shots. can fire up to different versions can fire up to 1,200 rounds per minute for the
Wow.
anti-aircraft versions. But I mean, obviously that would burn barrels if they just left it at that. So they fired in bursts. Has an effective range of 1,830 meters, which is roughly 2,000 yards, especially when it's fired from a tripod. And it shoots a big old bullet. I mean, that's that. If you've ever seen a 50 cal in person, it's huge. It is ground portable, but the gun itself weighs 84 pounds, which is 38 kilograms.
Oh, that's all.
That's all. I mean, just throw it on your hip.
Pick it up.
Put a holster for that bad boy.
Yeah.
And with the tripod on it, that adds another 44 pounds. So that's not even including the ammunition. So just the gun is 120 pounds with this tripod if you're carrying it. So a lot of them are vehicle mounted. That's the word I was looking for a while ago. Vehicle.
Yes.
And not only that, the rounds themselves have so many different variations. I mean, there's just the standard ball, which is just a bullet. Armor piercing, incendiary, tracer. Let's see, what are the other ones? There's insane. Some of them have a flash, a higher report, which more sound, smoke on contact.
Wow.
I mean, it's just the versatility of this thing is insane. Light armor penetrating, face hardened steel plate, tungsten penetrator. It is insane. So, and it's actually I was gonna put it in one of my books, and then I decided against it unless it was in there. I didn't know if it made it or not. So let's see if I can share this bad boy.
At the beginning of Death Cloud?
Maybe so. I don't remember. Maybe so. Where's the share screen button? There it is. Okay, share my entire screen. Yes. And we are screen sharing. Let's play this slideshow, baby. So here it is, mounted on the side of a ship. And this is the anti-aircraft version. Yeah, that's two of them. Two of them side by side. And I think in Pearl Harbor, the movie, I think you saw this type of configuration. And that's just a crazy. I mean, just look at all the spent shells below there, just coming at you. If you're an enemy aircraft, that's got to be ridiculous. Here's the version that's up there on some kind of light armor vehicle. Usually, if you think of a 50 cal, to me, this is the picture of it. If you've seen the Browning, that's what it looks like. There's actually an automatic one mounted on the top of some kind of armored vehicle.
Yes, those can be on LAPVs, which is the vehicle that the brothers use in my book. They make one that's actually on there, and then they're on the top of Humvees too, where it's all remote, so nobody's sitting outside.
And reduce the risk for the soldiers. Wow. I thought this was awesome. 4 of them mounted in the nose of an aircraft. That is just awesome. I mean, not to mention the big bore cannon right there, whatever that is, but just 450 cals is enough to scare the bejesus out of you.
Yeah.
And there's the more infantry version of it if you're putting it out there. So.
Yeah, I think usually when they carried that, at least I'm just speaking off of what I see in the movies, which I hate to do, but like you'd have one person carrying that, and then one person carrying the tripod, and they'd like run up and then they'd set it down and set it up, and then they'd get it going.
Yeah, I think that's probably how they actually do it. Surely they consulted somebody for that.
Yeah, you'd think. Man.
So that's all I got for the Ma Deuce, but it is just an awesome weapon. I imagine it would be a great zombie killing weapon. Just my guess.
Yes. Oh yeah. You'd rip through. I mean, you hit them in the neck, it's going to destroy their brain, and you're done. I mean, zombie down. Man, that's freaking sweet. Those things are awesome.
Yeah. Over to you, brother.
Okay. So this week I have a tomahawk, which sadly I don't have one in person. I should have tried to find my brother's, but I'm pretty sure he has it with it. So it's a tomahawk, if you will. Oh, I can actually share my screen because I don't have notes. Well, let me look at those notes real quick. Okay. I kind of have notes, but not really. Entire screen.
Pirate code, man. Guidelines.
Sweet. So can everybody see that?
Yep.
I assume so. So that is your typical Indian tomahawk. That is who first invented them, was the Native Americans. And they use them for anything. I mean, they'd use the backside for hammering. They'd use it for hunting. And of course, the main reason they would use that for is combat. and that's what they'd use those tomahawks for. And they'd use them for not only like a melee weapon, but they throw them a lot of times too. As I'm sure anybody who's seen a Western ever, I mean, they have tomahawks like that. And then what happened is then when the Europeans came over, they had what was called a boarding axe, which is very similar to a tomahawk. It's a small handheld axe that was made for boarding ships.
So sailors would be the main people
yes,
that carried it,
exactly. Yep, when you're going from ship to ship. And so that would be a perfect kind of melee. And then once the Europeans came over, the Indians, because they were using rock heads and whatnot, and those would kind of chip. Then they got the metal, and then they started being a lot more effective. This was called a pipe tomahawk, which it actually has a pipe in it. So you put the tobacco or whatever in the front, and you smoke it out the back. I mean, it's actually a pipe tomahawk. Like it's crazy.
So would that be more ceremonial, or would it be more?
Yes. Those were usually ceremonial to have when they did their ceremonies, I guess. And then what happened is you have the tactical tomahawks, where they're actually used in this one. This next picture was my favorite, when that soldier has it on his back, is they actually use them in combat. The military uses them, and of course, and then the police force actually uses them for when they're clearing houses. They can use them for breaching doors, helping to knock down doors, and then they use them for hand-to-hand combat. And then here's one of me, my wife, my brother, and his wife, and you can see my brother there has a SOG tactical tomahawk. And if you've read my books, the brothers use a tomahawk that's similar to this to take down zombies. And I mean, it's perfect. It's really good for combat. And then I have this cool little picture at the end here. It's technically a survival axe, but it's almost more of a hatchet that's similar to a tomahawk, but it has like 14 different tools on here. And it's just like, it's really cool. I had to share this because I was talking about that. Let me see if I can go and end the screen sharing. That worked. So that's kind of what a tomahawk was. There's a difference between tomahawks, hand axes, which is what the Vikings used, and and hatchets. So a hatchet, of course, is really for splitting wood. That's what a hatchet is for. And it probably came from a tomahawk, but the tomahawk is used for combat and throwing, where a hand axe is mainly just used for combat. And there's slight differences in that. And it was just really sweet. But I've got a couple stories here real quick. So with that tactical tomahawk, sorry, words, I don't speak words really well. I can write them really well, but I don't speak them. That tactical tomahawk in that picture that had my brother in there, he's actually used that, and he's actually drawn blood on himself with that. So long story short, we were out goose hunting. We wounded a goose, and we wanted to take care of it humanely. And so Caleb was going to go up with his tomahawk and just like take the head off. And it's really quick, painless. Well, the goose got up and started running around. He missed the goose and wham, right into his foot. He actually had 2 layers of stitches. 2 layers of stitches. And he probably doesn't want me telling this story, but it was horrible at the time, but afterwards it's hilarious. He's still got a big old knot of scar tissue on his foot. They're insanely sharp and they work really well. But anyway, so that's tomahawks. You always think of like usually Indians, but now there's these tactical tomahawks, and those are really sweet. And they are, I mean, they have a place in combat. I know a guy that has used them, going into buildings and silently taking out tangos, and I think he's gotten over 50 confirmed kills with his tactical tomahawk. And he was over in the Middle East, and it was, yeah, he's an all-American badass. But anyway, mine was tomahawks, really fun weapon. I do not have one right now, but I will be getting a tactical one in the future for zombies. Anyway, not that zombies are ever going to happen, but you can't hurt to prepare.
Oh, why do you carry a 45? Well, because they don't make a 46.
Exactly. No. Anyway, so that's our weapons of the week, and we'll go ahead and move into the main topic, which is dragons. Jazz hands again. I don't know why. I just feel like dragons. Like
rawr.
Anyway, you go ahead and start us off, and I'm just gonna pretend I'm not here right now.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you a question. How about that? Now you gotta speak. So I'll tell mine first. So when my first encounter that I really remember with dragons, either on screen or in books was actually in books, and it was the Anne McCaffrey Dragon Riders of Pern. That was one of the series that got me into fantasy. And this is where they obviously ride the dragons. They've got a mental link, and the dragons breathe fire, but it's both sci-fi and fantasy. I think it's more actually sci-fi because they're actually on a different planet. It's based in the future. Humans colonize the new planet, and they genetically altered one of the creatures there called fire lizards and turned them into dragons, so they could fight this thing they called Thread, which was raining down from the sky and destroying everything. But that was my first experience with dragons, and of course, as any fantasy sci-fi geek knows, once you see a dragon, you fall in love with dragons. You love dragons. You want to see more dragons. So that was my first experience with them. Josh, what was yours?
Oh, it's gonna be one of two things. It's either gonna be World of Warcraft. Just kind of, I never had the game myself. My buddy Andy always had it, so I would go over to his place and play it. So it was either there, but I'm pretty sure that one of the first times is actually in a kick-ass sci-fi post-apocalyptic movie, Reign of Fire, which if you haven't seen it or heard of it, you've been living under a rock. It has Gerard Butler and Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. Yes,
man, I must have. I need to find my rock because I've been living.
Yes, it never went big. I don't know why, but it's so these people that are living in a post-apocalyptic world that they discovered dragons, and dragons completely destroyed the world, and so now they're living in this castle and they're underground, and it is one of the coolest dragon settings I've ever seen because it is so different. It is, I mean, it's awesome, but I mean, like I said, it has those 3 big name actors. I think it has another couple more famous ones, but it was never went big, but it is honestly one of my favorite movies of all time. And once again, that was Reign of Fire. So I think that was, if not the first, that was one of my first introductions. Yeah, introductions into dragons. And it's an awesome movie. It
so
really is.
Is it rain like the king reigns, or like rain like
Rain like the king reigns?
Okay.
Like the fire is raining. Like, oh, that was a whole yeah, because that cleared up which rains it was. But yeah, Rain like King. Yeah. REA. Oh wait. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try and spell it.
REIGN. Ha. Yeah, I'm cheating though.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I have it written down, but it's so far away I gotta get up close.
Apparently I'm not the only one living under a rock who hasn't seen that. But now is it on Netflix? We will check.
I don't know. I have it. Oh, I think I have it on DVD, so I can't really send it out to everybody, but I have it on DVD because I want to go watch it here in the next couple of days. Oh yeah, Sarah. Thank you, my lovely assistant. Here you go.
Hang on. Talk again. Yeah, there you go.
Here we go. I'll keep talking. Here's Reign of Fire. You can't see with my computer screen. I'll just keep moving it. But yeah, it's got Matthew McConaughey, Christian Bale, Gerard Butler.
I'll be dang.
Yeah, I can't remember who else. But it's good. It's old now. It's what? In the Man, they always make this such small font.
So while you're looking for that, I'll see Jennifer Wilson says Braveheart. Were there dragons in Braveheart?
Not quite.
I don't think so, but it made me laugh.
That's a good movie though. Really good.
Great movie. And Stacey Black says Never Ending Story, which is a interesting take on it.
Oh, yeah. I've never seen that one.
I never have either. I can picture the dragon just because it's so famous, but it's almost like a dragon dog.
Yeah. Yeah. I would not call him a dragon because I'm very prudish in my dragon specifications.
You are a dragon snob.
Yes. Like if it has feathers on it, it's not a dragon. It's a motherfucking bird thing. Like you've got to have scales and membranes for wings. I mean, I've had
that's why this is in the outline. I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
A heated discussion. Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump down to that one. Okay. Feather wings versus membranes. So if it's a dragon and you have feathers, that's a dragon. And just like that dog dragon was a dragon, but to me, that's not a real dragon. Like, and I guess where a lot of that animosity and hate comes from is the Aragon movie. The Aragon books were awesome. I loved them. They were the books in middle school that got me back into reading, and really enjoying reading again. And so
And
He
they were good.
specifically,
The books were really, really good.
yes, and I mean, written by a 15-year-old,
Yeah.
like, I mean, come on. Anyway, so it talks about Saphira has scales, she has membranes for wings. Okay, they do the movie. One of the biggest issues, besides being horrible, I mean, just horrible in general, period, is Saphira had feathers and feather wings. Okay, it specifically states membrane wings. I don't like feather wings on a dragon. I like membranes. I like it to look like a lizard
A bat.
bat, not a lizard bird. And so I'm just like, oh. So anyway, sorry, but yeah, no feathers, all scales, all scales.
See,
And
I didn't even notice that in the movie. But
oh yeah,
I
I
mean,
literally. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
About that.
I wouldn't hear what you literally did.
I literally want to buy every copy I find and throw it in a dumpster somewhere. Like that is how bad it was. Like those are some of my favorite books. And then I watched the movie. I was so excited. And the whole movie, I mean, you can just, I would have had to look like this, like, what the, I mean, the whole time, the only thing that was good about that movie is Brahm was casted by Jeremy Irons, and he did a really good job.
He did a really good
Murtagh
job.
was pretty good too. Everything else, absolutely horrible. They didn't even mention. I'm not going to get off on that tangent. Anyway,
Yeah. Who played not John McEnroe? What's his?
John Malkovich was
Oh, dude, he played an awesome
Gal Batorix, which he was good too.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything else was just like, I hope they do a redo. I hope they do a reboot. Like I really do, because that was what really made me fall in love with dragons was those books. Like,
yeah, he did a phenomenal job with all of that. I mean, just the whole thing. I think I have a thing with endings where I think they should always be better than they are. It was a fine ending.
No, it was a horrible ending. I wrote him a hate letter.
You wrote a letter?
I did. I also, but here's the cool thing. So, Christopher Polini, he's actually I've actually talked to him since then. So I wrote him a hate letter when I finished the series. I mean, like emailed it to him. I was so pissed, like at the ending, I was so pissed. Like he foreshadowed it, but I didn't care. I hated it. I wrote a hate letter. So then 5 years later, I see his Facebook page and it says message me. I'm like, what the heck? I'll probably get one of his like assistants or something. But I messaged him one like, hey, I wrote you a hate letter before. I realize now that it's how the story had to be. And while it wasn't a super happy ending, it was a good ending. And I really loved the series. He actually replied back.
Dude, really?
And then I replied and he replied back again. I was totally fangirling for a year. But anyway, you were talking about the ending. Continue.
It just it wasn't as good as I felt it should have been.
Yeah.
I thought I don't know what he could have done, and because it's not my book or what he could have done different. Just I thought he could have done it a little differently, but still for a 4-book series, I mean, and those things are Sanderson thick.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, and it never felt like a chore reading them when you're going through them. So that's that. I mean, they're just phenomenal books. So, what is your favorite book dragon or dragons or book series with dragons in it?
The Inheritance Cycle. Easily. I mean, I just love the whole concept. Like, I mean, like you're talking about, they're not a chore to read. When I first started reading, only Eldest was out. So I read Aragon and Eldest. And then when Brissinger came out, I read Aragon, Eldest, and Brissinger. And then when Inheritance came out, I read all 3 again to read that because I love them so much. Just the when Saphir is growing up at the beginning of Aragon, I love it. I feel like I have a pet dragon, and I love it to where there's good dragons and there's bad dragons. Another really good one, not only to do a shout out, but I thought he did the dragon really well, was Tiger Hebert, which his name's not pronounced Hebert.
What? I've been calling that the whole time.
No, it's like a bear or a Bert. Like it's French. So the H he had a post on Facebook. Okay, and maybe I misunderstood the post, but it sounded like that's not even how you pronounce his name. Anyway, Tiger's book, Dragon's Fire, the dragon was bad. Oops, spoiler alert. You learn that in the first couple chapters. But he did such a good job on like making an evil dragon and just making him like OP as hell. Like, I mean, OP is a gaming term for overpowered.
Okay,
I mean,
I was wondering what that meant.
Yes, OP is overpowered. So it's like, it felt like an actual, like, there was only one dragon in that world that I'm aware of. excuse me, and he made it feel like this is a dragon, like this is a dragon, and it was like it was he did it really well. But anyway,
Nice.
so what about you, Ryan? What was your favorite?
Well, I'll comment on that. I agree. He did a really good job on making an evil dragon and making
Yes,
it believable. And this may be weird, but I thought he did a better job than Tolkien did in The Hobbit on making the evil dragon part.
yes, I
So
would agree. Yes,
that's yeah, he did a good job on that. So my favorite's going to be the Dragon Riders of Pern, simply because it was my first experience with dragons, how they did it, and that you actually don't find out till wait. I'm spoiler alert here. I've already spoiled it, but I'm going to say it now. Way later in the series, how they actually got to be dragons. Then he did kind of like everybody else does. You put out the books, and sorry, Anne McCaffrey put them out, and then she did prequel series and afterward series and that kind of
yeah,
stuff. But it was really cool way to do it. And hi, kids walking by. Um, um, but so those were my favorite, and just because you could actually ride them too,
yeah,
same as yours. I mean, that's the mental link. People didn't gain powers through them like Aragon did, but they was still just phenomenal. Just the link between them, and he was such a massive, insane creature that was designed to link with a human. It just blew my mind. And I kind of got out of those series, and she actually passed away, and her son continued the
oh
series is
wow,
going on. So it's pretty cool. Stacy Black says, "Yes, Dragon Riders."
yes,
That and there's I think she's the one that actually that if I
I
remember
think
right
she
from
was
my
yes,
she started that the
yep,
whole
yep,
riding dragons, and now there's a ton of them.
yes, a
Um,
ton.
so speaking of feathers, one of my author buddies, Derek Sidaway, he has Griffin riders. Um,
No, that's
and
cool.
and he did a spin on it because he said there was a lot of dragon riders. He's like, well, I want to do riders, but I don't want to do dragons, so he went to griffins. But so there's a shout out to Derek Allen Sidaway, and I've read all 3 books. They're phenomenal. They're young A, but they're not. I mean, they're good. They're good. He does a good job. So
That'd be sweet. That's kind of like World of Warcrafty with riding the griffins.
sweet.
Now, a cool dynamic. I don't know if I just thought of this or I read it somewhere, but like if you had Griffin riders versus evil dragon riders, because then you have the dragons are more powerful and have fire, but those griffins are going to be more agile. And I think I just came up with a new book concept:
Write it
dragons
down.
versus griffins.
As long as it's not Sharknado, man.
Oh, come on! They've made like 4 or 5 of those now.
I know. I don't know how people.
I don't
I
know
don't
how.
know. I mean, maybe because they're so cheap, but it's got to cost like $10 to make those movies.
Or less. It's like a little toy shark comes on the screen, and then the girl's like in half and bleeding. I've never watched them, but that's how I imagine them being.
It's the same here. Same here, man. Same here. Okay, so now we
Oh,
have Amy Willison says dragons would win versus griffins. So
yes,
speaking,
unless you gave the Griffin some special power. Otherwise, they'd be annihilated.
yeah, they'd have to have some kind of magic power.
Magical resistance to their fire.
Yeah. So
They'd still probably lose.
since Amy piped up, I got to give a shout out to Jennifer Wilson, her mom, who actually sent me something that I'd never seen before. And Josh, you thought this was pretty cool too.
Yes.
Was actually a picture that shows the different types of dragons from a worm, a drake, or a wyvern. Is kind of the different classifications as they move along the chart. But it's like a circle graph. So it starts out with a amphither, which is a dragon with no legs, a snake-like body.
It's like a giant snake.
It looks like a giant snake with wings.
It's got like the serpent kind of wings.
Yeah, which is just. I mean,
Ah,
yeah, flying snakes. That's like flying spiders, man. They don't need any extra advantage here.
oh, I love flying.
You would. I'm not scared of snakes. I'm not scared of spiders. I just don't want them touching me.
I love snakes. We got one living outside of our house that lives underneath, and he comes out on the porch, and every time I pet him a little bit. He's our pet. He's a bull snake.
Oh, bull snakes are awesome.
Yep.
I guess here we got so many rattlesnakes that it's just it's insane. So it goes from that. You take the 2 wings away, and you get a worm, WYRM, and that's just like literally a big snake with a dragon head. Then you add 2 arms to that, you get a lindworm. Add 2 legs, so you got all 4 legs, arms and legs, with a long snake-like body. Is a long dragon, Lung dragon.
Oh, like the Chinese dragons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Uh, and then you shorten that body up and make them more compact, almost more like dinosaur type looking. But no wings. Then you have a drake,
Drake. Yeah.
which is now that term makes a lot more sense.
It's like a
Having,
wingless dragon.
yeah, basically a wingless dragon. Yeah. Then you add the wings. Of course, you got your dragon, and then you take its front arms away and move the wings down to where their arms, where it's more like a bat, and that's you've got a
Bad.
wyvern. And I just thought that was the
Mm,
coolest thing. It had never been explained to me that way. I'd never seen a visual, and I was just blown away. I was like, "Holy cow,
that's
we got to
awesome.
use this!" So anytime when I eventually write a book about dragons, at some point, it may be 10 minutes, it may be 5 years, maybe 30 years, who knows?
10
I am going
minutes
to go back to reference. Yeah, the dragons were there. They killed everybody. The end.
in
Done.
the end. Hey, that's not bad. It's pretty good flash fiction.
Flash fiction. Yeah, yeah. 100 words or less. I can do it in 10. Okay. Amy wants me to show the pic. Hold on. Hold up. Hey.
Sweet. But yeah, and to talk about that a little bit, because like kind of right now, at least how I think about it, you got dragons, and then there's all these different kinds. Like you'd consider, like for instance, in the Harry Potter movies, Goblet of Fire, you have that Hungarian horntail, and he would be considered what would be considered a wyvern, right? He's
I
got
think
back
so.
legs and then like the bat wings for arms. Well, I'm seeing myself
Okay.
like 4 times. There we go.
Yeah, here's the pic.
So
So
yeah,
if you go around the circle here, amphitheater, white worm, lindworm, long dragon, drake, dragon, wyvern, and then back around. So it's just a really cool
huh?
little graph, and you can
That's
just it
really
just
cool.
it makes total sense. It's like a pie. It just breaks down just beautifully, beautifully.
I like that. See, if I ever have dragons in mind, I'm going to have dragons with your 4 legs. I'm going to have the wyverns, and then I'm going to have what I call it a serpent, and it's like a worm but with little wings, and it's small. Like
Ooh,
there's one in I got a World of Warcraft graphic novel that has one, and it's really cool.
sweet. Okay, so what were you talking about? Sorry.
I think I was done.
Oh, well, it was good. I wanted to comment on it. What was you saying, dude?
Harry Potter, Goblet of
Oh,
Fire,
oh,
dragon.
yeah. So okay, so there's different types of dragons right there. That's more animalistic, right? Where
Yeah.
they have their magical abilities. They look like a traditional dragon, depending on what type they are. But they're animals, and they're have animal like instincts. They're probably smarter than the average bear, but they're not. They're not human-like intelligence. And in my books, that's how the dragons are in the Terunum world.
Wait,
They're
there's
animals.
dragons?
There's a dragon in book 1, dude. They have to fight one.
What? Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Well,
My head.
you best check yourself, son.
I have read it, I promise.
Yeah, yeah. Sure you have. Sure you have. Oh yeah, it's good, Ryan. Just print it, print it.
Just go forward. I didn't find any errors. I'm not reading this book. No, in all reality, it was a really good book.
Thank you, Ryan. But so I went with that. Just because mostly I think I wanted somebody to fight a dragon. Number one, they also fought him at the end too.
Oh, you're right, because they had a dragon and then they had the big evil, the evil dude.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
got it. Yes, I remember now. Yeah, because
So,
they fought. Yeah.
so smarter than average intelligence, but still animalistic. And in mine, they could be kind of controlled by an evil sorcerer or whatever the term is. Stacy Black, you are correct. They did freeze him twice. No, just once. I think they froze him once, and then at the end he died with a frozen object. We'll say maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't they like freeze him and then shatter him or
Something.
stab him or?
Yeah, we'll call it freeze explosion. How about that?
Yes.
So that's one side. Then you've got the evil dragon, right? And that's super
Maug.
intelligent. Yeah, Maug.
Yeah.
Smaug? What?
He's pronounced. Oh yeah, so it's not smog. It's not pronounced smog. If you actually listen to, like you read into it, it's pronounced Smaug. is how I've seen it done, like the professionals or like the whatever. But I always called it smog. So
Yeah, yeah. See, I can see Smaug, but I thought you said Maug without the
oh,
S. I was
sorry,
like,
smog,
I was like, dude, what?
smaug, smaug.
So Amy said, "How to Train Your Dragon," and that was a great
Yes.
movie.
Oh, here you guys go. Here you go. Look at this. I got a little toothless. Isn't he so cute? I love him. Like he broke a wing, but we just glued it. So instead of him losing a tail, he lost a wing, but we fixed it.
Poor
So,
guy.
but isn't he cute? Just look at him. Oh, I'm just gonna put him on my shoulder for the rest of the episode.
You should. You should. You should.
I'm just
Why
gonna have
wouldn't
a
you? Why
gonna,
wasn't it there in the first place?
I forgot about. I was gonna get it out and show you guys, but I forgot. This was one of the things when my wife first started encouraging me to start writing. She bought, unbeknownst to me, bought a desk, moved it in, and got like some of these like the medieval warrior and um, mythology and like these other reference books, and then she got me a little toothless.
Dude, that's awesome.
And he's actually supposed to be a, where the hell did the coins go in?
The piggy bank,
Never. What the
or
hell?
would you call it a
Oh yeah,
draggy
okay.
bank?
So it's in the back. So he's supposed to be a dragon bank. Like yeah, but I just keep him on my desk because he's cute, and these are like some of my favorite movies.
They're good.
They're awesome.
Amy says it's so cute.
I'm just kidding. He's just gonna.
Yeah,
He's just,
that was a really well done movie, and if for those who haven't seen it, they're more animalistic, uh, and they are the bad guys, and then they turn good. So,
yeah.
uh, in various different ways, but it's really cool. Alyssa Johnson said, "Your wife is so cool, Josh."
Yeah, Alyssa would know. Thanks, Alyssa. Sarah's back here. She's watching. She said, "Woohoo!"
I made the cut.
Um,
Amy said
yeah.
the third movie's out next year. Okay, so you
What?
got. I didn't even
I'm
know there
so
was a
happy
third
right
one. Josh is geeking out over there,
now. I'm like, oh,
which happens about at least once an episode, honestly.
at least once.
It,
Yes.
it's not a good episode if Josh doesn't geek out,
No.
and if I
Very true.
geek out, that's just a bonus. So,
Yeah.
um, I'm a bit more controlled. Yeah. Um, so anyway, so then you got your evil, highly intelligent. Then you got your human intelligent good, which is more the Dragon Riders of Pern kind of, which is kind of a sub sector, I guess, where you can actually ride the dragons like Aragon. Um, and then you have just human intelligence, but quote unquote wild, where they live in their own. Um, and then you have the D&D style, which I'm gonna let you talk about that because I know little to null about that. The chromatic dragons, and kind of like in Dragon Band 2, um, where they can polymorph or they have different powers. They have different mouth magic weapons. So do you know more about that?
No, not really. Not in D&D. I know a little bit, but I know more like in Warcraft, Warcraft is very similar to D&D too, where you got these different styles that have different strengths and weaknesses and vulnerabilities and different breaths, if you will, and they can polymorph there. Like you got Alexstrasza, and she's like the mother of all dragons. And then you've got
We haven't even talked Game of Thrones, so
I wish Andy was on here. You've got like the evil dragon that actually replaced his scales with like metal plating. But so a little caveat, I'll go into this a little bit. In my books, I'm going to have a little bit of both.
Dragons that hoard treasure, Stacey Black says.
Yes. And then there's those. Those are like your typical dragons. So what I'm going to have is I'm either going to have one or two things, different classifications or different intelligent levels, if you will. So like there'd be primal dragons or feral dragons that are like your normal, they just hoard treasure. They're not super smart, but they're not dumb. And then you have your polymorphing good and bad. And what I have in my books, when the main character goes into them, which this is 5 years down the road, so you guys just hold on to your horses. But the main character goes up into where he's trying to find this stuff, and he goes up into where these dragons. There's actually the
A thing at the
alliance.
place.
Yes, alliance between these different, like, because there's different elemental dragons, and there's good ones versus bad ones, and he actually gets in the middle of this war, and has a choice to help out which dragon to get rewarded differently, and then he helps out, and it's really cool because you get to see it's just going to be fun. So anyway, that's dragons in my future.
Awesome.
Just had
awesome. Then of course dragons that hoard treasure, and then they could be various levels of intelligence. And then you have like in Game of Thrones, where
No, I haven't
those
seen.
are. Oh, you haven't seen, dude?
Well,
I've
I
seen them, but
can't.
the
I
last.
gotta. There's just so much. Just why?
Stacy
Why?
said the dragons are smart, just antisocial. That's probably one of the best comments I've seen in a while. It's awesome. Um, yeah,
We need to put.
Game of Thrones is interesting. I haven't read the books, but the show keeps you involved. Now there is
A lot.
graphic nudity and graphic violence. I mean, it is in your
Well,
face.
I like violence. It's just the nudity and sex where I'm just kind of like, ah. Eventually, Sarah and I were gonna watch them, but we haven't got around to it yet.
Yeah, but they're good. It's a good story. And as the series goes on, there's less of the uh,
That's
sex stuff, just because
yes,
I feel like
that's
they.
how a lot of these are doing it now. Like with the pirate one, Black Sails. Season 1 is just like there's a lot of that, and then as it goes on, they just kind of drop it out. It's like, watch this, boobies, and then they're like, okay, now you can actually enjoy the show. It's like, come on, Hollywood, come on.
Okay, now I do have to say, this has quite possibly has to be the biggest tangent we have ever been on. We go from dragons to movies. We need to mark that down as
Okay,
a record.
we we need to reel it in.
Yes.
Okay, so what else do we got on this outline over here? Hashtag awkward panda. So we already kind of touched on epic dragon fails. The biggest one I think is the Aragon movie. It's just so horrible. Yeah.
No need to beat that dead horse. It's done been dead, buried, and you're still beating on it.
Shoot, I think we covered a lot of it. Although I will do another caveat about that. I'm really excited to see. I want to pick up one of these books because if I ever write sci-fi, that's how I'm going to want to do it. Is there's a lot of these books now that have actual magic in dragons in sci-fi. So instead of like I was reading that article that actually I think you shared about epic fantasy and how like the magic in Star Wars is not magic because it is scientifically plausible in that world. So it is instead science fiction. Yes. And so, but there's a lot more science fiction showing up now that is, excuse me, unexplainable magic and dragons and stuff. And I really want to get into it because it just sounds like just an awesome crossover concept. You got spaceships and space battles and you've got space dragons. Like,
yes.
I want to read that.
Okay, so Amy asks, your favorite dragon ever?
Ooh.
Ooh, I got mine. So while you're thinking, my favorite is Ruth, the white dragon from the Dragon Riders of Pern, because she, she was basically a really small egg and a dwarf dragon that she wasn't really supposed to hatch, but her rider came and pulled her out of the egg, and then they bonded and did had all adventures. But because they were kind of the underdog, always smaller, nobody thought they could do anything. Then they went out there and did better than anybody else, and then they ended up even being super pivotal to the whole story and novel. So that's my favorite one.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to say it's a tie. Saphira from the Inheritance trilogy. I really liked her. I liked her, just her personality, her sass, and just how she like gains wisdom so fast, and just that whole dynamic. The second one is Kalek Ghost, and he's actually a dragon from World of Warcraft. And I have, like I said, I should have got him out. I have these graphic novels from World of Warcraft that are really sweet, and he's one of the main characters in it. But he's also, I'm pretty sure he's in the Warcraft. The Warcraft books, not World of Warcraft books, but he's also in the World of Warcraft game, I'm pretty sure. But I really liked him. And then also the evil dragon from World of Warcraft, or from the Warcraft universe, and I can't remember his name. And Andy's probably going to kick my ass after this episode. Like, you should know that. But he was really sweet too. So those are probably my favorites.
Nice. Amy says there's another Inheritance book coming out. Where do you find this?
I've heard that. I've heard on his it sounds like he's working on another series, but he's also thinking about doing working on another book too. So I'm hoping, like, the ending was just so it was, I guess what I don't like about it was so final. Like, a good ending kind of leaves it kind of open. Like, oh, this could happen or this could happen. His ending was just so like, this is how it is. deal with it. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. I want a different. And now it was at the stage of my life where I didn't have a girlfriend, I didn't have a wife. And so I lived my romantic life through the lives of the characters in the books I was reading. So that is partially why I hated it so much. Now that I'm not that involved, I agree. It was pretty good, but still, that would be awesome if they did another one.
So some people agreed with me. Stacy said, as far as the types of dragons of the Pern series, Stacy Black said she just loves the old mythology dragons, just a big in your face, hoarding gold, and I'm gonna big batter and anything else out in the forest.
Yep.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Awesome. So if anybody else has any questions, y'all just throw it in the chat and we'll catch them as we go. But I think in the interest of time, we need to move on to the next section.
Yes, sir. Sweet. Okay.
Wait, we gotta finish one more time. Dragons.
Dragon. Okay, that got weird. Anyway.
When does it ever what else is new? Yeah. Yeah, that's just bound to happen.
So music. I'm listening to right now Coralton. Their CD Everything. They're kind of a Christian band. They're really good. And also, quick shout out here. I'm sorry, it's Everything or Nothing. To NF, he is a Christian rapper who I have actually met and been in a small group with at the church I was with in Michigan. He is done with one of his singles here a couple months ago. He actually hit, and I'm pretty sure topped out on the top like charts, overall US charts, period, everything. Like, so I'm listening to NF's album Perception, and he's a really good guy. You guys need to check out his music. I got a link down there. Really good guy. I mean, I knew him before he really started pursuing this music and actually got signed and whatever. And he's got some really good music. And then I'm listening to my song of the week, which, judge me, it's okay. It's pop. Okay. It's Ignite by Alan Walker. And it's just you just want to dance every time you listen to it. It's just, anyway, I'll move on to that. I'm reading beta reading Halls of the Fallen King by Tiger Hebert. Probably pronounced his name wrong. Just got done final proofreading on Bad Company. And then I'm also ARC reading Onyx of Darkness by Norma Hykins, which that is young adult. And that actually has dragons as well.
Nice.
So, yep. And she's got some good books.
Sweet. So I have been listening to the Art of Manliness podcast, by standard. Listen to a cool one today, talking about what the world was it? And I got sidetracked by dragons. Anyway, it's a good podcast.
Dragons.
It was not dragons, if you can believe that. And then the Stuff You Should Know podcast, which does all kinds of different stuff. Like the talk about how the Hyperloop would work, talking about germs, talking about all kinds of different stuff. Wow. It's an interesting podcast. They've done hundreds of them, and they I think they're over 1,000 now. Like in 1,000 and 1,001 were both Simpsons episodes on just all kinds of different. That series is just insane how long it is. But anyway, I'm still reading Rogues of Magic by J.T. Williams, and he will be on next week.
Yes.
2 weeks. Sorry.
2 weeks. Yep.
We'll tease it again later. Tease is a audio and visual term for tell you what's going to happen, but not do anything with it.
We're not teasing anything else. Just what's going to be in the next episode.
Yeah. What I've been reading after the Dragon Band story and episode, I really got to looking into Kickstarters and crowdfunding. So I was reading crowdfunding for basics in 30 minutes, and I read a couple other deals, and I think I might be going to do a Kickstarter for the next book. We'll see.
That's not a bad idea.
I think it'd be fun to do.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that for my fantasy one too. I think they'll be sweet. I'll let you go first and tell me, and you can figure it out, and then I'll learn everything you do and then do it.
It's a 10% handling fee. That's all. A consulting fee. That's all it is.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
And then so you're talking about pop music and just catchy stuff. So the kids have been watching Despicable Me 3, and at the end of the movie is a song called "Hug Me," and it's all "Hug me, bring it in, woo." So it is catchy, and it is once you hear it once, it's in your head the rest of the day. So it's not just you. It is fine listening to popular stuff, and it's funny, and it's interesting, and if it keeps you upbeat, man. Listen to what you wish. Listen to what you want, man. I'm all about that.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like I'm losing brain cells a little bit when I listen to it because it's just like, but it's so good. It's so good. I'll be tired of it in about 2 weeks. I'll never listen to it again.
Well, that's how a lot of that stuff is, man. It's designed to hit it big and fade away. Like it's like a ninja, strike fast and fade away.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a good analogy. Analogy?
I just,
Metaphor?
yeah,
Simile, whatever, one of those things.
similar because it used like or as.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so we went from dragons to boobies to grammar.
Yeah. Yeah. And then now we're gonna go to what we're thankful for. We're just all
Yes.
over the place tonight.
Yeah. So you go first now.
Oh no, you go first because I don't know what I'm gonna do yet.
Oh, that's okay.
I put it off too long.
No worries. So
Oh man.
speaking of music, that's what I'm thankful for. So there's a story behind it. Is that my wife and I went to an Eagles concert, the band. Just great. I mean, they have so many hits. They played for over 2.5 hours, and everybody in the whole place knew every song. Um, and there were people from I'm mid 30s. There were people there, teenagers, all the way up to elderly folks, um, and everybody knew those songs. And just being in somewhere like that where everybody knew the songs and just they each meant something different to every person, but everybody was singing along and just really you could tell it's one of those bands that just touch people, and it's just a phenomenal gift that the good Lord blessed us with is just music and being able to come together like that. It's just really cool. It was a really cool thing to go to. I mean, it was obviously awesome, but it was a neat experience to see that played out live.
That's freaking sweet. That's a good one, music, because that's like if it's like I said before, if it's quiet in the house, we're sleeping, watching a movie, or we're dead. Like, well, even if we die, we're probably going to be listening to music when we die because we listen to music nonstop. Like that was a good one. So I'm going to do, and if you saw me conferring over, I was asking Sarah, I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? It was the one thing on my list today was the last thing I needed for the podcast, and I spaced it.
You
So
had
I'm
one
thankful
job,
for,
Josh. One job.
and I failed. Well, I pulled through at the end. Is entertainment, but more specifically, like board and video games. Just like in a board game, just something that brings everybody together, like D&D, like anything like that. Like in an age where like the people that usually play board games, and especially like D&D and these more intense ones, you're usually introverts. You're not usually outgoing, usually, but like they bring you together and they create this sense of camaraderie, and that's cool. And then like in video games, like I used to be big into video games. Like it's a constant like itch that I want to go scratch, but I'm not because I'm not supposed to anymore. I do every once in a while, but like just the amount of people that have to come together, and you got to do a story. You got to have these designers. You got to have these. I mean, just everything. These guys that do the 3D models, and they got to bring it together because in a video game, like a book, you just have to have a good story and characters. But in a video game, you got to have good story and characters. You've got to have good graphics, or at least a certain style that's good. And you've also got to have good playability. If it lacks on any one of those, you're done. Whereas a movie or a book or something like that, excuse me, you just need story and characters and then you're good. But in a video game, if you don't have story and the graphics and the playability, I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And when they come out and they come out good, it's just amazing how they do it. So I'm thankful for just games in general, and just like the what goes into them, and then also what they create with I mean, even video games, playing with your friends online, 1,000 miles away. I mean, it's pretty sweet, pretty sweet. So
Nice.
that's what I have. Do we have any last questions or comments?
Nothing so far. Stacy Black says their family has a required family game night, which is
Yep,
awesome.
that's awesome. We're gonna do that too in our family.
Yeah, we don't have a
So
required one yet because ours are still young. They want to play all the time. So
yeah.
yeah, we're big trouble fanatics right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But that's all. No more questions right at this
Sweet.
moment.
Well, and we'll move into the closing. And So tune in next time for episode 8. Wow, we're already at episode 8 with special guest
Insane,
JT
isn't it?
Williams. It's crazy. Where we're going to discuss, correct me if I'm wrong, realism in speculative fiction, which is realism in sci-fi and fantasy. And I don't know exactly what that entails, but like I guess I don't know. You could probably explain it a little bit better.
Well, yeah, the example JT used when I was bothering him because he wouldn't answer my daggum messages. Sometimes
No, it doesn't sound like
he is either responsive as heck or you get crickets, man. There's
Yeah.
no in between. Anyway, is like if a 500 or 5,000-year-old elf is sword fighting a 30-year-old human, it should be no contest. But yet sometimes it goes either way, right? So,
that's gonna be interesting because I can guarantee you one thing: Jeremy is really good at he's really good at these podcasts. He has fun, but he also just he goes deep with these concepts. Like I don't really. I mean, we're gonna talk with him before the next episode to get some good questions. But like I'm like, well, what would that exactly entail? And he's just gonna be able to just make it really good. So make sure to tune in next episode. Also, next episode, and I'm pretty sure it's on July 10th. Yep, on July 10th. That is going to be my last episode for pretty much until December. So for over 6 months, I will be, well, not quite 6 months, 5 months. You'll have Ryan and Tiger again. So make sure you come watch that episode because I'll be leaving. And we might go a little bit longer. Probably not. Maybe. Well, we always go a little bit longer. But anyway,
we're going longer now.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Thanks for watching. Listening. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. We really appreciate all you guys showing up every week. It's. I know it's fun for you guys. It's also really fun for us not to only do this, but to interact with you guys. So we thank you for watching and listening.
Yeah, Amy says no, Josh. Don't go.
Only for 5 months.
Yeah, it's a little time.
But, only a year.
I echo what Josh said. I mean, thanks guys and gals for showing up and listening and commenting and interacting with us, man. It's a cool feeling. It's awesome. Angel said, "No, Josh, I'll miss you, bro. Bromance."
I'll miss you too, buddy.
But thank y'all for showing up. If you're listening to this on any of your podcasts, wherever you're listening to it, leave a rating, leave a review, share it with your friends, especially word of mouth. We've had people comment on this one that I haven't ever seen comment before. So that's awesome. So just keep going, spread the word. The more people get involved, the more interesting conversations we can have. And me and Josh are going to have fun, and I hope y'all are having fun. So just let's keep this going, and we'll be here.
Yeah, we ain't going anywhere for a while. And also don't forget, stay involved in the Facebook group, the Kickass Readers Guild. I have had 3 different people this week. I just got to share this because this is just mind-blowing and just it makes me, I don't know, it just makes me happy. I've had 3 people message me this week just saying that the guild is like part of their family now. Like they just love being in the guild, and something that we created originally, like, oh, let's do this together, kind of is like to get our fans involved and maybe just kind of and keep them up to date and whatnot. And now it's turned into this entire community, and it's just awesome. So if you're not part of the Kickass Readers Guild on Facebook, make sure to join. There's going to be a link in the bottom because that's how we stay involved in between these episodes. And that's how, I mean, we're there on a daily or every other day basis. I mean, interacting with you guys. We love it too. I mean, we get some great ideas, just some great interaction. So get on that Facebook group. We just have a really good time there. But that's all for me tonight. This is Josh signing off.
And this is RJ. Y'all keep it real.